Time's up. Let's do this.
We're in for a wild night.
Welcome, everybody, to episode 165 of Born to be Wild, a wild adjacent Hearthstone podcast where we have fun hanging out with friends talking about the wild format of Hearthstone and Twist, and hanging out with friends and spotlighting members of the wild. I can't say this every time. Wild adjacent community. That's so weird. I don't like it. It doesn't flow. Blue, I'll have to have ChatGPT write the intro.
No! Don't do that.
Anyways,
and we'll always be keeping it wild and wild adjacent.
That's right. Yeah, keep it wild and Cosmo
and wild adjacent.
Anyways, yeah. Welcome back, everybody. It's great to be here. It's yes, this is the third week in a row that I am working on a Saturday. Yay! God, work is very busy right now, but it is a beautiful Friday evening, and I'm hanging out with friends tonight, and it doesn't get much better than that. So I am very grateful to be here tonight, hanging out with all y'all. And so, yeah, I'm very happy. Joining you from Orange County, California, and it's just beautiful and sunny and hot out, but it's nice. Have a really nice weekend in store for us. Anyhow, joined by three of my favorite people. Hydralisk, welcome back. How are you?
I'm great. Joining you guys and all you out there in listener town from the greater Vancouver area. It's also, pretty hot out, pretty beautiful. It's summertime. I got a vacation coming up in a month from now. I'm super stoked for that.
Dude, I am too. What time?
Last 2 weeks of August for me.
Wow, we're going to be on vacation at the same time.
Nice.
Where are you going?
Hey, listen, Canadians out there, I'm going to Edmonton. I'm doing a road trip actually through the Rockies with my family. My wife's sister lives like dead center in the Rocky Mountains, like right on the British Columbia Alberta border, basically. And so we're gonna drive up there. That's about like a 10-hour drive, and then stay there for a week, and then move on to where my parents are, which is like flatland prairie area. Go there, hang out there for a few days as well. We're gonna go to West Edmonton Mall, and if y'all don't know what that is, for like the longest time, like in the 80s and 90s, it was the largest mall in the entire world, right?
Oh wow.
And I think somewhere in China beat it at some point, like in the 2000s, or Japan, or I don't know. Somewhere in Asia, it happened. But like this place has like this massive indoor water park with like huge slides that do loops and deadly drops. You can bungee jump inside it. You can ride in a submarine in the mall, right? Like
what?
And yeah, and there's like dolphins and
in the mall?
Like in the mall. Yeah. There's roller coasters that do like massive loops. There's everything.
Sounds like Dubai or something.
yeah, no, it's nuts. For like the longest time, it was the biggest mall in the world that had like the most things, and like I said, eventually somewhere overtook it. But we're gonna do that. See my parents, see my wife's family.
Have you seen that video on YouTube of that like overweight older gentleman going off that water slide and doing like massive like belly flop, like launching himself super in the air?
No, maybe.
My!
I mean, I spend a lot of time on the internet. But yeah, you can actually bungee jump in the mall over the wave pool. So like, there's this giant mast that you climb, and you jump from the ceiling, and we're not talking like 30 feet. We're like, this is like a real, as if you're bungee jumping off a bridge over a river, like that style, inside the mall over the wave pool. Yeah, it's nuts.
I have one very important question. Why?
Because if the cord fails, then you just make another wave. And they just move on.
Right?
Adequate answer.
Yeah, and think about this, Sheep. So in Edmonton, you have to drive about 3 hours to see a hill, right? So you eventually get to the Rocky Mountains, and it's amazing. They are there, but you have to get there. So it's also negative 30 degrees Celsius which is basically almost the same in Fahrenheit at that point. It's bad. It's cold. You got to go somewhere. And guess what? We made our own beach in a mall. Like, it's actually like the concrete that goes down into the wave pool is like sand colored. And there's like big waves coming and everything. And oh yeah, it's cool.
Okay.
Reminds me of a Daniel Tiger episode.
I don't know what that is. And we've gone on way too long about how I am doing.
Wait. Watch the screen real quick though.
All right, let's
just
let's
because
watch the
this is
This
only
is in the mall?
no,
This
but
is-
No.
no, but we've got these things.
This-
Okay, yeah, give her.
it's only like 10 seconds long. Don't worry. I won't. For you audio listeners, I apologize. All right, everyone else is in for a treat though. Watch this. This is insane.
Is the guy gonna jump off that thing on the top?
Oh yeah, dude.
Oh yeah, this guy's my hero. He had at least 7 beers before this.
Like that's like 30 feet in the air.
He's so
He got some
majestic.
hang time.
He posed like he knew
He's
the
so
cameras.
majestic. He was like
He's doing
Stan Lee
the,
for a
like-
minute.
Pumping up the
He's
crowd.
a little kid that's doing like the yo.
Oh, that's
There's
fantastic.
panic there. There's panic there. Like,
Yeah,
the arms are cooking for a minute. He's just like, I made mistakes. I have regrets. I have regrets.
Mistakes were made.
Oh my gosh.
Anyway, my week is going pretty good. Actually, we'll talk about our weeks later, but I'm doing great tonight. Electric Sheep City. How you doing tonight, bud?
Meowdy friend, I'm doing fantastic. I finished reading 11/22/63 earlier this week.
Just.
It was incredible.
Have any of you seen the show? They did a show on Hulu with James Franco.
Yes, I have watched it.
Was it good?
I've watched most of the first episode, and
Yeah,
it
go
was
ahead,
all
you
right
talk
so
first.
far, but it was very much just like setting the scene. So it's,
I never pictured the main character as like James Franco. He's just
No, and you know what?
No.
That ticks my wife off, to be honest. She's like, he's not tall enough. Because in the book,
it's a
Jake-
very big part. Yeah.
Jake Epping is like the main character. He is like a tall man. They talk about it, about his height. And James Franco is probably like the same height as I am, right? Like just like your average.
how tall are you?
I don't know. I think I'm
6'8".
shrinking. No, I'm like 5'9" and a half, 5'10".
Oh, all right. Yeah, I'm like right there with you. Okay.
I'm
Yeah,
disappointed
so-
that wasn't in Canadian numbers.
Yeah, Canadian numbers, right?
That
would
was
be
5'10"
centimeters.
That was 5'10" in Canadian inches and feet.
Yeah, it was. No, it's centimeters, decimeters, and centimeters. Yeah.
Stone.
You know, I think about that often. Y'all say it's always Canadian, right? But like, America's just the only place that is like refusing to use the metric system. Like the entire world uses.
It's pretty unfortunate, actually. Yeah.
As a physics teacher, it pisses me off. Sorry, Sheep, to hijack your intro.
It's all good. Finished reading that. It was amazing, and I'm getting super excited for Lightbringer, the sixth Red Rising book. So
That's later this month or next month.
that is in 11 days from today.
11/22/63.
Exactly. So been reading a little bit more of that too. Just rereading Morning Star, I think is what I'm on right now, and then on to Iron Gold, and then Dark Age, which is my favorite book in the series so far, at least. Like, it's incredible.
Those sound like smoothie names at like Jamba Juice. I'd like to have
I'll
a
have a Dark Age.
yeah. That's the one that's like coffee and peanut butter.
I'll have an Iron Gold. I don't want to know what a Red Rising is.
No, or it's like
I'll be tomato.
it's like the Grimace shake at McDonald's, right? I'll have the Red Rising, please. I'm sorry. Never mind.
So Schmoopie, how are you doing, bud?
I'm doing great. It's gonna be a fun show. We're already going way off track. Very stormy here in Orange County, New York. Okay, yeah. Very stormy here in Orange County, New York. and I'll keep my intro short so that we get to like actual podcast.
Yeah. Story. Yeah. So if we lose anybody, the lightning on the screen. Apparently there are power outages in both Schmoopie Land and Sheep Land as well. So in case anybody cuts out, we'll just carry on and act surprised. And hopefully it doesn't happen.
Nothing happened. Like nothing happened. You won't hear me talk audio. Like it'll be gone.
Until such a time as Schmoopie does cut out. For those of you joining us for the first time, welcome aboard. Let me briefly explain how this show works. We record this podcast live every Friday evening at twitch.tv/BornToBeWildHS. And the video version of this podcast is posted to YouTube shortly thereafter. Audio versions are also distributed to all of the podcast apps. So, however you are watching, listening, or absorbing via osmosis this podcast today, thank you. Yes, you.
Yeah, if this is the first time that you're listening, I'm sorry. We've gone off the rails, and so last night I meant to go to bed early because I wanted to do a lot of work today and be well rested. And then I started watching YouTube, and then I looked over at the clock and it was like 2 a.m. I was like, whoopsies. So
these things happen.
Running off of like very little sleep and lots of caffeine. So yes. Anyways, thank you for everyone who's joining us live. We really appreciate y'all hanging out with us and spending your Friday evening with us. We know you could be doing anything, so that having you here with us means a lot. So really appreciate it. Big shout out to Shokunin, the executive producer of our show, and to Armorn and our other patrons. We really appreciate your support. If you're interested in supporting the content that we do, there's a couple ways that you can do it for free. If you want to like, comment, subscribe to our stuff on YouTube, that helps people find us. If you listen to the podcast on the various podcast platforms, if you want to leave a review, that also helps. If you are someone who's on Twitch a lot, we do have emotes that you can unlock. There are some free ones that you can get just by following, and there's other ones that you can unlock by subscribing. It does happen to be free if you use your Amazon Prime. And we do have some merchandise that is available on our website that is pretty cool. I have a picture of one of our shirts right there. Oh, and at least... Oh, again, another week where everyone's wearing it except me. I'm sorry. Jeez. Hey. Let's go. Those turned out good. I'm so impressed. Hydralisk in hit, like, it's so funny. So here's what you missed pre-show, right? Hydra's like, yeah, I bought the one with the Hydralisk on it, and like in 3 different colors. And Sheep's got the one with the group on it. It's so funny.
Yeah, it's so funny. Sheep actually, I think, went out of his way to buy one of each of us. Like, so he's got the Nate, the Sheep, and the Hydra.
Oh, that's so cool.
Individually.
No, I've just got the combined one and then the.
Oh, okay.
The sheep.
You know, I feel less bad.
You should feel less bad.
Because I was like,
you should feel terrible.
I bought 3 colors, 3 different colors of myself, and then I thought that you bought like one of each of us, but no, I've got that one, the one with the 3 of us, and I was like, man, I bought 3 of me. She bought one of each of us. I'm a jerk. But no. I got that one too. So
looks sweet.
Because I bought like 4 of them or whatever. So I have that one, and I got these 2. So
nice.
Good. We're good. I feel way better now. I know that.
There you go.
Just bought the compilation one.
Mm-hmm.
Gosh, we haven't done one in a while. Maybe time to order some new artwork. Anyways, so yeah, getting into the show, talking about my week a little bit. Again, it's been super busy, but I rolled credits on D4 this week.
Yes.
And it was amazing. Like, now there's still like post game content, but it's like I'll do it to like check it off my list, but I'm not as keen to do. Like, the story was really good this time around, actually, and but I want to unlock the greater difficulty and like, you know, it's crazy. Like, I got all the transmogs and stuff, and I beat the game, and I'm still missing like helms and boots and armors and all that stuff.
Oh, yeah.
It's kind of crazy. Well, like, I mean, I guess I just need to up it. Like, I want to increase it to difficulty level 3, because I did the whole game in world like pain level 2 or whatever. And so
yeah,
I
so you're
want
going to be in the third tier
Yeah,
at this
yeah.
point. But yeah, so historically in Diablo, once you've beat the game, like you are still grinding for gear, right? Like you are
Mhm.
trying to get that stuff afterwards. You're running different things. You'll be unlocking even so you're on to Nightmare at this point.
Yeah.
But you need to be able to access Nightmare dungeons. That's
Mhm.
another thing. And like your XP and your drops and everything are going to be way higher
Good.
now.
All right.
And then plus I guarantee you have like hundreds of side quests to do still.
Oh yeah, there's tons. I did a lot. I did a lot on the way because it was like, how do I best describe it? Like squirrel. Every time I go past something, like a little side quest would pop up. I'm like, well, I'm already here. I guess I'll just do it. Like 30 minutes later, right? And there's
Sounds like an ADHD trap.
It is, and I enjoy that particular ailment, and this game is like made for it, and I could just spend hours and hours and hours.
Awesome.
But it was very good. It was good,
and if you love the story, rumor has it expansion number 1's already complete.
Oh, beautiful! All right, the story was good.
And they're working on a second one.
Oh my god! So here's what happened. This is really funny. I got to the final dungeon, and you fight Lilith, and then I was like, that wasn't that hard. And then there's
don't spoil it for anybody though.
Oh wow, it's not gonna spoil anything. There's a second form, right? And it was a little harder.
It's a multi-stage boss, just like Castlevania was 30 years ago. Yeah.
Right.
No, shocker.
And
quite a few final bosses.
Yeah.
And so like I beat the final boss, and then D4 crashed, and I get this like pop up on the screen that's like, we're doing server maintenance. And I was like, okay. And so the next day, and at that point it was like 2 a.m, right? And so the next day after work, I booted it up, and sure enough, it saved my progress right before the final boss, and I had to do it all over again. Oh, but it was fine. It was fine. I love that you can respec your character as many times as you want. Like, it costs some gold, but like at that point you have so much of it that it doesn't matter, right? And so I was experimenting a little bit, and actually ended up going back to the way I had it in the first place because it seemed better. But I wanted to try a couple things out. The only other thing, my week has been super busy. It's just been a lot of work and stuff, but it's cool. We had a little garden out back, and like our tomatoes are coming in, the strawberries are coming in,
Nice.
zucchini's coming in. Like it's been pretty cool. Some homemade basil, or the basil's like, there's a bunch of stuff. It's really kind of fun. But one thing I wanted to add before, and I don't really know where to fit this in, so I thought I'll just jam it here. I saw this pop up on my timeline this week, and I wanted to give a big giant shout out to Rotted Zombie. So anybody who follows the Tempo Storm Wild meta snapshot, post from Rotted Zombie this week. I'm retiring from competitive Hearthstone and my role as Tempo Storm and Wild, the Wild HS meta snapshot lead. Thank you to Raynad for having me the last 3 years. Also, big shout out to Alpha Flight Gaming and THL for stoking my competitive fire. He said, this isn't goodbye, I'll see you on ladder. And then there's some stats here, which are really impressive, right? 12,704 Hearthstone wins, 4,778 Warlock class wins, 3-time THL Wild League champion, team lead for Tempo Storm Wild Meta Snapshot, and player for Amber Flight Gaming. Very cool. So big shout out to Rotted. Awesome guy. We've had him on the show a couple of times, and he's always been amazing. And so there have been many, many, many times that I have hit legend with the decks from the Wild Tempo Storm meta snapshot, and they're a great resource. So if you are interested in deck lists and stuff, definitely check that out, tempostorm.com, and there's a wild, click on the wild part. Rod is super cool. My understanding is that Doc Delight is taking his is going to take over, right? So I don't know why they didn't ask me, but
and they recruited OTZ.
Yes, and
as as a writer.
Yeah, that's so cool. White Delight's, or I always call him White Delight, but Doc Delight's post was so funny, right? He's like, oh yeah, I'm taking over, and the first order of business is like, giving my work to other people. So if you have any questions, talk to OTZ, our new writer. So congrats also to OTZ or Otizakia, right? For getting a new role, Tempo Storm Wild Meta Snapshot writer. So the team is super cool, but we know a bunch of those folks, and they do a great job. And so big shout out there. Anyways, that was my week.
I was just gonna say, like, there's always like a rivalry on the internet of like what's better, Tempo Storm or VS.
They're different though. Like, I don't know. We've had that conversation so many times.
They're different, but like they're all friends. Like it's all the same. Like all the same community. Like they talk to each other. They put out a report, and they're just like, oh, that's interesting. Like what Corp and Get Meow pretty much do with the data that they get from Zacho to do VS, like infrequently, because we have such a small data like sample size, right? It's like a slightly different approach from Tempo Storm, but Tempo Storm is like all like really good players all kind of like sitting down in a room, kind of figuring out, okay, where do we think things stand, and kind of hashing it out.
Yeah. I love that.
So it's
like
just,
there's stats, opinions, right? And like it's super cool because sometimes stats can't cover everything.
Sometimes lie. Like
stats can lie, and so opinions
can lie.
There is no Pepe Sylvia.
It's super cool. That, you know what, having both is perfect. So
like if you go purely based on stats, cut Patches from Pirate Rogue. Card sucks.
Yeah,
just saying, card sucks.
Right.
Draw
and win rate.
That's great. I typically will trust their opinion. I know there's a meme floating around about Doc Delight decks being meme decks, but he's also a phenomenal player. So I really trust their opinion though, generally, and I like that they have a breakdown on like how to play the deck and some like tech choice, like swap outs. If you're seeing a lot of aggro, swap these cards, whatever. Like they're great. And like you said, one of the things that I think kept me around for such a long time was not so much the game, but the community. And I really enjoyed that the Wild community in particular is typically not everybody, but for the most part, very friendly and I don't know, congenial, if that's the right word. Like everyone gets along well and is respectful. And I like that it's not like a competition between the two. It's like there's some shared data and a lot of times they're recommending similar things. And, there's always going to be, a couple arguments. This card's better, that card's better, or how do you build this deck? But for the most part, like they're just great resources to have. And I personally, like, if we look at like deck builder versus deck pilot, like I'm the pilot. I'll get like some idea and it's bad. It's like, oh, let me build a secret Murloc Paladin. And it's like, no, you can't do that. But I can pilot their deck. You can, it just won't win. But
all that said, like I thought that Dude Paladin and Twist was going to be like, just like a hokey, like meme thing, and then like it was actually good. So try out the wacky ideas that you get, and every once in a while you'll hit gold.
Apparently Bubbles and Taunts good.
Oh yeah.
Ben from work is crushing with like a hero power like stall freeze toxic mage right now. So like again, crazier ideas in Twist. And so like crazier ideas, like just sometimes they just throw the nuts. They just pan out. Just you don't expect. It's a sheep's point.
Hell yeah.
Anyways, so there's a wild Hearthstone card. It's called Bees. How was your week, Hydra?
Oh yeah, that thing. So yeah, you can keep the picture blown up if you would like. I was doing some lawn.
I have the video too, so we can swap over.
Yeah, so if you look at the image on your screen, this is my house, and there's a nice arrow pointing to this weird giant object in the bush on the corner.
Yeah, dude, it looks like a soccer ball or a volleyball.
That's
or something.
what I thought it was. So you can see the garden hoses out, right? So I was doing some lawn maintenance. I was gonna water some things. It's been very, very hot. So I don't want to make sure, I want to make sure the grass doesn't die and all that stuff. Anyway, the garden hose accidentally hit that big ball that you see there, and it turned out to be
right in the face.
Yeah. It turned out to be a wasp nest, and if you want to put the video on, you can. I took like a.
Oh, that's not
close-up.
good. That is not. Those things look huge.
They are.
That's nightmare fuel. Keep that crap away.
Yeah, and so I kept my distance. I watered the lawn and whatnot, and I told my wife about it, and I actually texted.
You didn't
my
like spray
dad.
them with the hose.
Hold on, I'll get there. So
This is going to go terribly. I can't wait.
So what happened is, like, this thing is bigger than my head. This hive, right? That they've created in this bush on the corner of the house. Day one that I saw it, I don't know how I didn't notice it before. Fast builders, I guess. Anyway, did nothing about it. I kept my distance, watered the lawn, mowed the grass, stayed away. The next day, I come home from work, right? And I walk past it. I'm wearing shorts, and I was probably like 10 feet away. And then one of those little suckers got me right in the calf.
Ooh.
Right? And I yelled a bad word. And my wife was in the house, and I come in, and she's like, I come inside, and she's like, "Oh, one of them got you, didn't they?" I'm like,
Oh, she knew.
They gotcha.
you got me. And like, she knew instantly. And I was like, I need a hoodie and I need jeans. Can you get them for me? And so like, she goes and she gets me hoodies, she gets me jeans, and I'm like, you know what? I know I should get professional help, not just for my brain, but for this. And I'm like, you guys are going down. So like, I hooked up the pressure washer.
Nice.
I went hard on this thing. I was like, I don't
Nice.
care. Like, I pulled my hood up. I had my jeans on. I'm like fully covered. I put gloves
you have
on
a
my
tube?
hands. I
That's
did
good.
not.
That's good head. That's good head protection.
I did not at the
That's a
time.
Situation.
I did not at the time. I just pulled my hood over, and I just like got right in there. Like, I obliterated this thing with my pressure washer, and I knew that like there's a possibility they could come back and try to salvage it. So I made sure there's like absolutely nothing left at this point. And here's the kicker. Like 2 hours later, I'm watching TV and knock at the door. I'm like, who's knocking at the door? It's like this bug exterminator guy, right? And he's like, hey, we've heard there's wasps in the area. Like,
They just showed up?
I didn't call them. They just showed up. They're doing like door-to-door calls, right?
You're like, are you hiring? Because
apparently I'm and it was funny, and he was just trying to sell us, like he was trying to kill wasps, ants, silverfish, if you know what those are, and a bunch of stuff like that. And I'm like, well, too late. Did it myself. But yeah, it was that revenge. Like, I needed the revenge. I didn't even go near this thing, and it got me right in the calf. I'm like, ooh, you know what? You're going down, wasps.
yeah, I'd
You're
be
going
mad.
down.
I would have been mad.
Yeah, I was. So, win for me. We'll see if they rebuild. Right, that's the issue. Like, I was thinking about that while I was doing it. Like, are they just gonna build a nest somewhere else? Like, that's totally possible. But
Well, as long as they build it like on the neighbor's yard here.
exactly, like go over there. It's fine. So yeah, that was a big part of my week. It was fun. My heart rate was definitely up there, I'll tell you that. Like, while I was like at it, I'm like, ha, die.
It sounds slightly terrifying, not gonna lie.
Yeah. Then at my work recently, there every once in a Sheepy.
I'm going to interrupt momentarily. Nate, will you take the video down? It's got some sound to it.
Oh, it does? It does?
Yeah.
Oh, God. I didn't know. I didn't hear it.
It's all good.
Oh, my bad. What did it sound like? I couldn't hear
Wasps.
it. Wow. So it's just been buzzing for the last 5 minutes? Wow. Oh, my bad.
No,
At an
it's-
unregulated
I'm
sound
glad
level.
somebody told me. Jeez.
Continue,
Okay.
Hydra.
Yeah.
Thank you, Hydra.
Yeah, so there's the picture of it again, right in the corner. Corner of the house. It's funny too because my neighbor, my downstairs tenant who lives downstairs, he walks along here to come get his mail. Like he'll come up to the front door to come get it. He has to walk past it, and he is like, picture the Big Show. Do you guys remember the Big Show from WWF back in the day? That's what he looks like, and he was like. Running away from this thing. It was so funny.
Run away! Run away!
Well, I was saying I get these in my trees, and I'm like, well, that's in a tree.
You
and
throw
it's,
rocks at
3
them or
feet
what?
up. I don't really care. But you have it it at a bush 2 feet above the ground where everybody's walking.
Yeah, I don't know
A
why
nightmare.
they chose to do that. Yeah. I was just gonna quickly get into for a second that our work. Oh my gosh! I've talked about this over the last 3 years. They every once in a while, hey, we're gonna restructure. Let's get rid of some management. Let's get rid of this guy, that guy, whatever. Apparently, that started happening again.
Oh no!
One of my team members unexpectedly completely was just fired yesterday. And so that's always scary.
Slightly terrifying, yeah.
A guy, he was late 50s, been there forever, engineer.
Oh no.
Making a bunch of money.
That's a well, you're in Canada, I don't know. That's a lawsuit over here, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, that happens here too. Trust me.
Just think of how much money we'd save if we let that guy go and hired someone young that we didn't have to pay as much.
And yes, so that's the thing. They have posted the wage for the new job, and the old job had 6 digits and the new job has 5 for the salary. So I was like, So it was interesting.
Well,
I see what you're doing there. But yeah, anyway, so that's always scary. It lets everybody, kind of think about their role and their responsibilities and whatnot, but should be fine.
You guys don't mess around with a refractometer as much, right?
You know what? I actually, because of that, I was talking to my coworker. I asked him how he would calibrate the refractometer today. That is hilarious. I actually asked him that. It's so funny, and he had no idea. It was so funny. Anyway,
I actually learned how to do that last week.
Quick little my book corner. I did finish The Dead Zone. I am now reading Firestarter. I don't know if you guys read Firestarter. That's the one that they made the movie where Drew Barrymore's the little girl
yeah.
with the
90s song.
With the pyrokinesis. It is good so far. It's not just a little girl that sets fires. Stephen King, he's got all these backstories on all the characters, and it's bigger than you think. It's super good. So far recommend. I'm only, I would say, a quarter of the way through at the most. So
so you haven't gotten to where the Firestarter goes wicked yet?
There was a big one. There was definitely
I haven't read the book. I was just referencing the song.
Yeah, that's a good Prodigy song. I like it. I remember when that came out.
I am the Firestarter. And then I'm also, because I always read 2, I'm almost done Thinner. I got 30 pages left in Thinner.
How do you read 2 at the same time? Thinner was pretty fun because it was there wasn't a lot of substance there. It was just it's the classic don't be mean to the old gypsy person because they're gonna curse you. And
yeah,
I mean,
and I don't know the ending yet, so don't say it, but I'm super close. How I read 2 at a time is because one is audiobook, one is physical book.
Oh, that's yeah. All right.
So I'm always doing 2 at the same time, and I'll probably hop back into Red Rising when I'm done Firestarter, because I want to continue that series because it is very well written. I've become a little spoiled with how well Stephen King writes, and sometimes when I read something from another author, I don't know. I guess I got a little spoiled on how good of an author Stephen King can be, and Pierce Brown is he's good. Like, yeah, he's really good. So I'm gonna hop back into that. And the other question, I guess, I don't know if we want to talk about this later. If we want to have any, are we gonna have any meta chat at all, or are we gonna talk about cards?
Well, there's new cards to talk about.
Just cards. The meta's like a VS report came out, and shocker, it's like what everybody sees. So like,
so now's a good time to ask the question.
Okay.
Yeah.
What do I do about the really annoying quest mages?
Play quest mage.
Quest mage is a problem for you? Hit them in the face until their face explodes.
If you're playing secret mage, use your explosive runes trap thing judiciously to get around.
Play neophytes in your even shaman. Like
I should pull up my stats. I am seeing primarily mage. It's a balance between secret and quest, and they are very. I shared a screenshot not long ago where I got Frost Nova 7 times.
Oh, I saw it. That was disgusting. Yeah.
And that actually wasn't the end, because also Vandar. No. What's her name? Dawn Grasp. Dawn Grasp was there also freezing my board. So there was Dawn Grasp and there was Frost Novas, and it went over and over. Like and this, maybe it was just this little pocket or whatever, but I played maybe like 10 games that night, and a lot of it I spent frozen.
Were they 30 or 40 cards?
I'd have to go back and look.
Because the 40 card list is primarily a casino list from China. And like that's a little bit, you don't concede when they start doing their thing, because because they have so much random junk that they throw into their romance pool, they can screw up their row and like just sort of like yeet themselves to death.
I'm not a conceder.
So you always hang out. You always hang out with the casino folks.
Did you just say that they yeet themselves to death?
Yeah. If you're ever...
I played against one just earlier today, maybe yesterday, that generated and then played Amira's Unstable Element on curve.
That's fine. Yeah, of course. If they're playing 30 and they're playing like the NHL Waluigi time list, which is like they're not adding any random stuff to their hand, they are going infinite. They're not even running Hot Streak, because Hot Streak adds a fire spell to your hand. You don't want once they go infinite, you can pretty much conceive whenever you'd like, because it's really tough for them to lose. But if it's like one of the Hijo lists where it's like sort of half doing, or the Tasu lists, which is again sort of like splitting the baby between the two, if it's not going completely random BS, throw it at the wall hoping something sticks, versus like semi-serious quest mage with some of the newer cards. Either way, like it's all the same. Like aggro, like even shaman, pirate warrior. Pirate warriors. God, no, don't play pirate warrior. Pirate rogue. Adding neophytes and spell hate to your even shaman is a good idea. I think it's a good idea in general, just because it hates on Tony Druid too, and I hate Tony Druid with a passion. F that deck. So just do that.
I was playing even shaman while this was happening.
Yeah, cut your crackles, throw in neophytes and some jam sessions. Play jam session instead of devolve. Do that.
Okay. Yeah. I love how you had like you said splitting the baby, didn't you? Mm-hmm. Yeah, nice reference. I get it. Very nice.
Yeah, thank you.
Anyway, I appreciate that, because they're driving me nuts, to be honest. Like spending my time frozen like is not a lot of fun, to the point where I wanted to play that deck, and then I realized that mirror matches would probably be horrible. So like I'm trying to decide what to do at this point. You know,
it's not the worst, because you just play Solid Alibi before they go infinite and you laugh.
Hey, that would be nice. Hey, well, since you already got the giggles on, let's tell me about your week.
Oh, it was boring.
That's good sometimes.
I got so bored. Like so, like when you hit Wild Legend. Here's the thing: when you hit Wild Legend early, this is first world problems. When you hit Wild Legend early, you see a lot of the same people over and over again. And at my MMR, like if I've dumpstered and played like finished up in gold MMR for the month, and then I boost myself up and I have like a nutty, like, I don't know, 66 to 85% win rate and get Legend Day 1. I'm seeing a lot of the same people over and over and over and over again. And usually they're playing bot decks. Usually they're playing like even shaman, pirate rogue, which is kind of fun for me, because sometimes I'm just like, oh, I'll queue up a control deck and I'll kind of farm them for a while. And then sometimes you're punished hard by the person who's playing Shutterwalk Shaman, and then you're like, all right, maybe I shouldn't install it. And nah, never. So what I typically do, because of the increased queue times and sort of the monotony of the wild meta, is I get bored and I try something different. This month, since I already hit Legend and Twist, I was like, all right, let me find a deck to play in Standard. And so I started playing Relic DH in Standard. And I had a really hot streak a couple of days ago. Got up to Diamond 3 and 3 stars.
Ooh, so hot.
I've lost like 4 games in a row since then. And it's amazing.
So not.
My willingness to play Standard has dropped precipitously. I might play it a little bit closer to the end of the month, but I've actually kind of like, I've gotten enough of a palate cleanser where I'm looking at Wild again. And I put out a tweet on Twitter highlighting 4 off-meta decks that you're not going to necessarily see on a VS report or a Tempo Storm report that I think are decently placed without getting too in-depth. A Seedlock, a 30-card Raza Priest, a Control Questline Hunter. What was the last one? Last one was spicy.
Rogue, Priest, Questline.
Oh, Odd Rogue.
Yeah.
There you go. And an Odd Rogue that I think are decent. And so, like, if you're bored and you're just sick of playing the same decks over and over again, I think those are actually okay, especially if you're seeing kind of like me, not quite 11x MMR right at the moment. I'm ranked like 1,000, so I'm probably 600 ranks, 700 ranks off of 11x MMR. So I'm still seeing a lot of aggro and not as much Shutterwalk Shaman, Raza Priest. But those decks all do decently well, I think, at that point, and so they're worth doing. I'm also playing around with, I think Abra in chat was talking about, like, oh, did you see the funny, Chinese deck that came out that Glor Magic highlighted that had like, it was like the Broken Murloc package, but instead of doing Doomhammer, we're doing Horn of the Windlord things. And I'm 8-2 with that deck and cracked top 1K. So like, I think that deck might have some legs too. Go check that out. That's fun. But I'm just kind of messing around. Like, I'm trying to hit level 400 on the track. I'm playing some duels. I'm just like doing things to keep playing and keep grinding out. On a personal level, if you're seeing via video, I had a wedding last week. So my wife cut my hair. So I got sheared. I look a lot cleaner.
That's sick fade.
Yeah, I got that sick. No, not quite the sick fade. It's not this fade on the sides that my Dominican students want. Unlucky. But it's no, things are all right. Schmoopie had school. Then Schmoopie didn't have school because we had like torrential downpours, and I have an item 4 driveway. So like any kind of potholes or rivets done by water, I fill in myself by hand. So that's fun. I get my manual labor that way. And that was my week. Look, I didn't even go off on any crazy like diatribes or anything like that. How about that? Much. Sheep, what'd you do?
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
So I also played some Hearthstone. I hit Standard Legend with Death Knight again. I didn't take a picture or anything. I have no pictures for any of these, and I feel bad for Nate not having pictures for any of these. My bad. So hit Standard Legend. Checked that box. So now I've got Twist and Standard. Still need to get there with Wild. Still been having a lot of fun in Wild, which is why I haven't been climbing, because I've been playing fun decks. So I'll get there. The month is still less than halfway through. I want to know,
what fun decks have you been playing?
Buff Death Knight is probably my favorite right now. Even buff Death Knight, of course. Double Blood, One Unholy. So that's probably the one I've been playing the most. Been playing a little bit of just regular Unholy as well. It's fine. It's not great. I've got more taunts and stuff, but then I ran into a lot of the mages that Hydra was running into and lamenting. So it's not so much a good.
You see why I run so much spell hate, man.
Oh my goodness. I have a treat for you.
Oh.
Well, I'm sorry to interrupt. I couldn't help myself. You had mentioned that you didn't have a graphic for this, and so I asked Midjourney to come up with Electric Sheep City hitting legend in Hearthstone, and here you go.
Oh, that's wonderful.
That's pretty epic, actually.
It's pretty good.
That's wonderful.
All 4 of those. Wow.
I know.
Oh, I like top right most, but like there's a serious case for bottom left. Audio listeners, I will describe these as I see them because you may never see the video. So the first one, the top left image, is a rather epically detailed sheep with armor that is electrified. It is at least 6 humans tall based on the scale of the graphic, with very detailed horns standing in front of a majestic city. The top right is a similar image. However, it is a more proud stance from the ram with a sort of crackling electric symbolic halo at its back. The bottom left, however, is a giant cute freaking sheepy with electricity zooming around it. However, it is at least, I would say, based on building scale, at least 60 stories tall. So
at least like
terrifying.
2 Godzillas tall, at least.
And then the bottom right looks
Probably
like
my favorite.
Sheep City if he was an actual sheep and a part of the Guardians of the Galaxy.
There's actually like floating cards there that are like electrified in blue.
Oh,
Yeah.
I missed those. Those are sick. I thought those were
Those are
lapels on the shirt.
Yeah,
Those are
they're like
actually-
floating cards actually. Yeah, it's kind of
they
cool.
look like, and it looks like they
Card
are
lapels.
vaguely Hearthstone in design. So like nice dodge on the what am I thinking of? The copyright infringement. However, still looking very solid. That is one thing, not to hijack sheep. I'm sorry. That is one thing. Shmoopy stole 2018 to 2021 roughly from us with his poor sleep schedule. So my wife and I caught up on Marvel movies the last couple
Oh,
days.
nice.
And now I'm done. Go ahead, sheep.
I actually have not yet seen Guardians of the Galaxy 3. I'm waiting for my physical copy to get here.
I didn't even think I knew. I don't even think I know that there's a third one. I am so out of the loop. It's insane.
Yeah.
Me too.
I missed it
I
in
also-
the theater, but I'll catch it when it comes to like streaming or whatever.
Yeah. I imagine that'll probably come to streaming at about the same time, like early August. Also in Hearthstone, I hopped over to Battlegrounds because part of the event that's going on right now, I had like a do X, Y, or Z in Battlegrounds. And I was like, oh, hey, I never quite finished up the rewards track. So I also finished up that thing. Speaking of quests, they are, in fact, now back in Battlegrounds and are very fun. I really enjoy BGs. It's my, like, I don't really take it too seriously mode. Like, I think like 5K-ish MMR, which is like fine. I dip my toe in every now and then like bounce. It's fun. I enjoy it, but it is not my competitive mode. But there is a competition at the very beginning of our next segment.
Oh.
Welcome to the news. The news is so good.
There we go. Sorry.
So good. So week 1 of Choose Your Titan has wrapped up. Voltron Prime did not make the cut, unfortunately. So I only got 1 pack. Did any of y'all get more packs?
I got 2 packs.
I have a story to tell.
Ooh, go for it.
Do you remember how I complained last week that like the ability to do this wasn't in the client?
Mm-hmm.
And so since we are informed, we pay attention, right? Like we should be able to actually do the thing, right? Well, guess what? Apparently that's not good enough because I forgot to click on the thing.
Oh no!
So I missed round 1. It's so funny. I did do
Oopsies.
I did do round 2. I picked the Warlock for round 2, but I thought I had done it. I didn't do it. I would imagine if you looked at numbers and how many people have Hearthstone accounts and how many people actually voted, I bet you I'm just gonna guess. It's probably like a quarter of the people.
Did you
Like
see
most,
the?
I bet.
I think
The-
it's probably less than a quarter.
It's probably yeah, a quarter
Way
or
less.
less because
I'd be
it's not
shocked.
in the game. Like
No.
put
No,
it in
you're
the
not wrong.
game, right? Like even I knew, dude, and I screwed it up, and I knew.
Did you see
So-
Gallon's tweet? It was so funny.
No.
No,
So he says, "You can vote for Sargeras all you want, but just remember that every vote he gets is one more imp card that we add to future expansions."
oh yes, I did see that. That's funny.
Well, I heard that.
implausible.
Right, I heard that
Reminder.
like Zeddy or somebody was like was like rallying everyone to choose the same one, which actually makes a lot of sense, right? Because if everyone chooses the same one, like it's gonna win. But
Yeah. At least
presumably.
I know most of the wild community is all choosing like Warlock. Like the fix is in get your cut. Like if everybody chooses
didn't know
the same
that.
Titan, we all get packs. I'm pretty sure we covered it last week. Regardless, the fix is in.
I knew
Choose
that.
Warlock. I mean, don't do that. Don't vote with your heart. If you like packs, vote Warlock. That's basically what people
Okay.
are.
Well, I voted Warlock, so apparently I did the right thing.
You did.
Cool.
You did.
And this week I voted for Sargeras as well.
Who voted for Boulder Fist Titan? SchmoopieDaddy?
What's really funny? What I found, I said that this had to be the graphic for this particular segment, or I'd riot, because Boulder Fist Ogre is actually replacing. If you looked at some of the other tweets from devs about like which Titan is the most attractive and like grading them on a scale of attractiveness, Boulder Fist Ogre is the Druid Titan in this graphic, which is actually replacing the most attractive Titan, thus improving the attractiveness of the choice. So there you go.
Cora ran a thing on the most attractive Titan, right?
Yes.
She did. She had some hot takes. Voltron scored surprisingly, not surprisingly, but everything else was like whoa, except for the last one, which obviously Boulder Fist would have scored in if Boulder Fist Titan was an option. So
The best, most Titanic stats for the cost.
yeah, this bit played out great.
Yep.
I love it.
Yep.
And how? So on top of being able to choose our Titans, we've got some new cards from the new expansion, which is called Titans.
Yeah.
The opposite of yelling it.
All right. So what is up first? We're gonna take a look at some of these. Let me just pull up my show notes here.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is it the?
Sargeras the Destroyer is first up on the show notes.
That's not my favorite one.
Yeah, I picked that for a reason. I didn't pick this card because it was good. So yeah, Sargeras the Destroyer. I mean, if you don't know it already, it's the 9-mana Titan
Quest Warlock reward.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
Battle Cry, open a portal that summons 2/3/2 imps each turn. It's a 6/12. Okay, so it's got a big butt, right?
Rocking
But
everywhere.
it to me it's just so funny. Like I feel like they wanted think back, guys. Think back to Lakari Sacrifice and how they wanted like Disco Lock to work so bad. They were printing cards for it, and then in the end, you could just play Disco Lock without the quest, and it was so much better, right?
Yeah.
And so this is the quest reward just on a stick at this point. Like it's almost like they wanted this to happen so badly, and it never really did. That they just put it as a battle cry on a card, and in the end, I still don't think it's good. Like, is this what you're doing on turn 9? I welcome an
Not
argument
me.
from anybody. Like to be honest, like I don't think anyone is doing this on turn 9.
No,
think-
the quest reward was bad, and this is bad too.
So the abilities that it has, one of them makes the portal that it summons basically be Twisting Nether, but poof instead of the Twisting Nether. One of them, all of the imps that come out have taunt and +2 health, I think. And then the
I
other
think
one
that's
is
right,
another like token buff as well, if I recall correctly.
I think you would summon 2 of the 6/6 demons, like 2 6/6 demons for that.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Mhm. So there, you can essentially basically play Sargeras on 9 with a Twisting Nether type effect that doesn't put anything in the res pool. Are we ever going to do that for 9 in Wild? Probably not, but it's pretty cool.
SchmoopieDaddy?
You always pair this with Symphony of Sins, and now the option of reduce the highest cost minion in your deck by 6 mana makes a whole lot more sense. So you're playing this probably on 6 instead for the same effect. And I think that's why it's balanced at 9. That's why they balanced it at 9 mana. I don't necessarily think this card is good. It's probably the weakest of the Titans, but it's Big Timmy energy, right? Like this is a card that might be one of the most played Titans just because it's going to be fun to play this card. So
if you make it to turn 9 or 6.
No.
6.
Turn 6, right? Like because like that, if you're legitimately saying, okay, so turn 6, I'm going to play my poof, and then Sargeras is down, and like I'm going to be completely honest. I still don't 100% understand how the Titans interact with the board. I know, like, you play them, and then, like, they play an ability, like, they would be attacking. It's almost like Rush, but it's not. You can give them Wind Fury for some reason. But, like, I almost feel like they're almost like quest lines, where when quest lines were revealed, we looked at them and we said, and we didn't quite get them. And then we got to play with them, and we're just, oh. And then we see the possibilities. I feel like Titans are going to kind of be a little bit more of that energy. I think they're a little more solved because people much smarter than me understand how they work and how they're going to play out and see the game loops. I can't see the game loops in my head yet. So I because of that, I'm a little bit like, I hear people like I respect say they all look busted, but some are more busted than others. And so I would just like pump the brakes on like completely trashing a Titan because they all look strong in their own way. And in particular in Warlock, we have a buffed standard way of cheating it out. So
yeah, we'll see.
What's hard for Symphony of Sins though is that you're not guaranteed to be able to choose that. And then you're also diluting your draw pool to be able to draw it on curve. The Titans are all really powerful. And I'm glad that
option. It's not the option for the deck, right? Like it's just a tool.
Right. So, and well, kind of what you were saying about the Titans in general being really powerful. They all are. They're a little bit more solved because if you're able to deal with the Titan, then they only get one of their abilities instead of 3. But their abilities are typically pretty strong. So like if you're able to get just one down and you're okay with that, then that's kind of how you have to be playing that one, I think. What is your next card, Hydra?
All right, so we don't have a lot yet, right? And I was scrolling through, and one of the classes that I have yet to reach my 1,000 wins with is Hunter, right? I have played way less Hunter than I think most people, and I was taking a look, seeing if they have anything, and Hunter's secrets are kind of annoying, right? So I was taking a look. They got this new one, Bait and Switch. All right, so 2 mana secret. When a friendly minion is attacked, give it +3/+3. So I don't necessarily think this is some sort of an insane card. I do think that for the mana, I think it's good stats. 6 mana worth of stats for two mana. I think that is good. I think that is really good, and I think that whatever deck this goes in, you are going to be testing when there's a secret up. Is this explosive trap? Is this freezing trap? Like when you're attacking, is this, what's the snake one? Right? Like you are
snake trap. Yeah.
Yeah. Like you're testing for these things. And this is just going to be another monkey wrench.
Another one.
Right. In your plans. And I think that's kind of cool, to be honest, because we've gotten used to all of the Hunter secrets that are there. And I think
bear trap meta done.
New secrets are always
wandering monster.
Irritating.
Like I agree with you. This is a good card.
In case you were wondering.
good. Thanks for the throwback, Nate.
Yeah, that was so funny. Classic Hydra moment there.
I think it's a really good addition for Hunter. I think it's a really nice, fresh, new secret that will keep us wandering. That's basically all I got for. I think it's a good card.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, there was kind of like a almost like secret package that we got with Hunter, and we have a lot of secrets in our format that we can like juice those things up even more. I'm really interested to see like if we can make a secret Hunter deck in Wild this go around. It'll be fun. I don't know if it'll be good, but it'll be fun.
Right. I'm stoked for it. I think it was a good addition. Sheep. How about you tell me about some cards you brought to talk about?
Oh, wait a minute. Well, yeah, okay. All right. Sorry.
Okay.
Nate's got something up his sleeve here.
I do, but when the time is right.
All right.
Yeah, so I really brought the package of the plague cards for Death Knight. So, of course, I started off with what are all of the different plagues themselves. So, there's Blood Plague, Frost Plague, and Unholy Plague. They're all cast when drawn. The Blood one, restore 2 health to the enemy hero. The Frost one, the next card you play costs 1 more. And the Unholy one, summon a 2/2 undead for your opponent. Now, why would we want to be playing these? Because we are putting them in our opponent's deck, not our own. So all of those things that do good things for your opponent while you're taking 2 damage, that's what you're putting in your opponent's deck.
Yeah.
You know what I think about that?
Hell yeah.
Which is exactly where we're starting with the plague cards. We're starting with Helya, a 4-mana 4/4 legendary with the battle cry. Shuffle all 3 plagues into your opponent's deck. They only have 1. Plagues they draw this game are unending.
Hell yeah.
That's right.
What does unending mean?
You tell me.
Unending means that whenever your opponent draws them, they shuffle it right back into their deck. So
rude.
They don't go away. Those plagues, they're unending.
They printed 4-mana Hakar.
Yep.
So is it shuffling? Like, I see some debate about this. Is it shuffling 1 copy or is it shuffling 2 copies? Like, is it like Hakar where it's shuffling multiple copies? I think it's just shuffling the 1 over and over again, right?
Correct. Yeah, it's just the 1 over and over again.
But every additional plague you're shuffling is now unending.
Yeah,
which is
It's going to be
all
really
plagues.
annoying.
All plagues are unending for the rest of the game.
That's it.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
You know it. So, hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
Sorry. Play twice.
Hell
I
yeah.
have it on loop.
Hell yeah is even. There's one other unholy card that I'm gonna talk about that's not even, but the rest of these are, which I think is probably relevant. But I think we probably still just play this next one anyway instead of Gen, which is Staff of the Primus. So Staff of the Primus is a 1-mana 1/3 weapon. After your hero attacks, shuffle a random plague into your opponent's deck. So if they don't like ooze it, then you shuffle 3 plagues into your opponent's deck.
Wait, does this
You
mean
don't
this
lose
is...
it, you lose it. Sorry.
Whoa.
You're gonna make that joke?
Yeah.
This was such a missed opportunity to put in the music expansion.
Right?
The timing.
Jerry did wish he was a race car driver.
They would have put it in the wrong. They would have put it in like Rogue and said it was hip hop or something. They would have got it wrong, right?
They would have kept it in Death Knight.
So is this Jerry was a race car driver, or is this Darrow's weapon?
Ooh. So it is a staff rather than like a
Sling blade.
Sling blade or the razor. But I mean, maybe if he becomes a Primus, we'll have to see. So you shuffle 3 in. That's great. You also have a weapon. Weapons are good. All around good thing.
I like the giant too.
Yeah. Oh, did
The
I
Russian
forget to?
Reborn? Did we not do the giant?
Totally forgot to drop the giant in here. And
I'll find it while y'all are talking.
You
Cool.
highlighting this card makes me like realize how good this card is. The giant seems cracked. It's like
Yeah.
11 mana, 8/8, Rush Reborn, costs 1 less for each plague that you shuffle. Now, if you like, a lot of the plague cards are Unholy and Frost, which is not a bad thing because a lot of the really good draw cards in DK are Frost. So like you're gonna find your plague shufflers, and so you're going to be playing these giants that are almost 2-for-1. Like I know Reborn comes back as an 8/1 whatever. It still has Rush.
Right.
Like you could trade it into other giants and it's still there, and it's just like what's up. Like like it's gonna be kind of a nutty card. And I think we're gonna like it gives me pause to just automatically cut the odd cards and be like even Plague Knight, which I'm totally gonna make. But like there has to be, maybe we make a whatever Plague Knight. We run a little low feb or something. I think there's gonna be some.
Yeah.
I think this is gonna be a cool deck.
I think
I'm
it's going to be a
definitely
really
gonna play
fun one. Yeah. We do have a couple of other plague shufflers. So one of those is Distressed Cavaldier, which is a 2-mana 3/2 undead, double unholy rune. With Death Rattle, shuffle 2 random plagues into your opponent's deck. So shuffling plagues, this is 2 of them. 2 feels like kind of what you would want for the 2-mana thing. It's a Death Rattle, which could be good if you're like dropping Distressed Cavaldier on curve and then dropping Helya on curve a little bit later.
Hell yeah.
Exactly. So the next one is actually one that rips up a plague, and that is Tomb Trader. Tomb Trader is a 4-mana 4/3, 1 unholy rune, 1 frost rune. With the battle cry, destroy a plague in your opponent's deck to deal 3 damage to all enemy minions. I don't know that I'm going to be playing this one in my plague deck because I want my opponent to draw all of their plagues is kind of my general idea. But like 4 mana, a 4/3, the AoE, asymmetrical AoE is also really good. Go ahead, Schmoopie.
It's one-sided Duskbreaker. You don't think this thing's cracked?
I was gonna say
it's busted. I think it's good.
I think it depends on what the meta is, because if there's not a whole lot of board-centric stuff, then I don't really want to run it.
how many.
But
I despised Duskbreaker.
and this is asymmetrical AoE. Yeah, that's a good point.
This is an even shaman nuker, like right here, and you're gonna need it. By the way,
Yeah, that is true.
Hydra, what were you saying? What were you saying? Sorry.
Well, I was gonna say I despised Duskbreaker when Duskbreaker was in the meta. Now let's not forget that we do live in Wild, right? So obviously this is gonna have to run in the even unholy Death Knight that we have. So how often are you gonna see it? How many Death Knights are you actually seeing on your climb? Personally, me, not a lot, right? But if this does become a thing, I will be very angry.
Well, and I think the rune restriction here is what'll keep you from seeing it quite so much,
it
because
does have
it's 1 frost and 1 unholy.
So that's right. So the fact that it has the frost, and you know what? That's probably on purpose. They're like, let's change that 1 green one to a blue
It's very
one.
frosty to do the AoE effect, right? Like to do the damage and then make it one-sided. But like frost, I don't think the frost is a big deal again, because like I've played a lot of Janked. I think frost is underrated for how much draw you can pack into frost. There are some cards we do not play in Wild that are very, very good at drawing cards in frost.
Yeah, and there's one that I didn't include in these, but it's another new one. It's I think it was 2 mana, 1 frost rune, like you draw a card, 2 cards, something like that. But more frost, more draw, more only 1 single frost, because a couple of the other plague generators are 2 unholy. So I think what they're kind of trying to get you to do is 2 unholy, 1 frost. Oof. Or foo.
How do you feel about a rainbow plague?
So I don't think that I would run Rainbow Plague just because I would be losing, yes, the Distressed Kvaldir, but more than that, the Staff of the Primus. So you're missing out on two of the plague generators.
Muncher, and like you get no Muncher though.
Honestly, I think I'd probably rather do 1 blood, 2 unholy, and cut the Tomb Trader and the Down with the Ship. If I was really prioritizing running no Muncher.
Okay.
Speaking of Down with the Ship, that is the last plague generator, and that is a 2 mana shadow spell, 1 frost, 1 unholy rune. Deal 3 damage to a minion. If it dies, shuffle 2 random plagues into your opponent's deck. So kind of like the Plague Strike and stuff like that. You know, you deal 3 damage to a minion. If it dies, get a good effect. This good effect is shuffling 2 plagues into your opponent's deck. That's a very good thing.
Kill a cannon, kill an anchor totem. Yep, good. Yep.
3 is a great break point.
3's a good break point right now.
Absolutely.
Yeah, good card.
So I brought the plague package, and I'm excited to plague around with them.
Oh my gosh. You're gonna get down with the shipness?
I was thinking about that. There's 2 songs.
I'm upset and disappointed with this podcast.
My response, hell yeah.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say wah. I can't do it. I can't do it very well.
I can't either. I might be able to. I will not try.
You're okay, Sheep, you try.
Not right now. My sinuses have been doing something fierce, but I will. I will. Remind me.
I was going to try a round table
weeks.
of
Remind me in a couple weeks whenever this isn't going down my throat so much. But
that's the next topic.
Right.
Wait, hold on. I did get the giant. Let me pull it up on the screen real quick.
Yeah, buddy. So the giant also is double unholy, which is
it's only one.
Relevant.
It's only 1 unholy.
Is it only
right?
1?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought it was 2.
Well, if this is the right one, right?
Than I thought, though. It's only 5 health. Still, it's disgusting. I think this is disgusting. 8 mana. Sorry. 11 mana gets discounted every time you shuffle a plague. So think reasonably 0 mana giant. We got another giant revealed this expansion that's just every time you forge, discount 2 mana. The card is trash. You're literally paying 2 mana. It's reduced by 2 mana, and it's not like even Naga Giant where you're doing something else and reducing its cost. You literally have to spend mana on the card to play the card. I see some people are just comes down as early as turn 4. It's yeah, you're doing nothing. Never mind. Anyway, this is a much better card because you're actually doing the things you want to do. And so for free, this comes down and it has Rush, Reborn, 8 attack, and 5 health. I think that's kind of nasty. You can trade into 2 gigantic, 2 big totem giants and just erase them and be okay, cute. What else you got? Or a thing from below in a totem giant and be okay, that's fine, it's gone. Or you just stick it down and just be okay, deal with it. And maybe they can kill the first half, but they can't kill the second half. And then they still have plagues in their deck, and that's a lot of extra damage built up. So I think this is a really good card. This is actually gave me pause as to do I just always go even with plague, or do I do sort of non-even build as a deck?
Yeah. Well, and so one of the reasons why I'm really tempted to cut the Tomb Trader and the Down with the Ship and go just triple unholy is Grave Strength. Because one of the plagues is take 2 damage, summon a 2/2 undead for your opponent. If you're just shuffling tons of plagues in, you're going to be getting quite a few of those. You're just going to randomly have a big old board just because of the plagues. And then just Grave Strength, go face when the card game is just
I'm
really good.
Suspicious of your draw, Sheep, but you're an aggro druid player, so you're used to just sort of top decking and YOLOing and being ha! I'll figure it out next turn. So I think you have a little bit more comfort with that build than I do. But I don't disagree. Like, this is a strong card. A lot of these cards have a unholy alignment, which means that like it wouldn't shock me if some of them found a home in Unholy Death Knight for Wild even. Like, the even one.
I'd like to take this moment to actually say that I think the devs have done a good job of making a new class this legit, right? Like,
Yeah.
we're discussing this, right? Like, back in the day, think about classic Hearthstone where we played 50% neutrals, right? Like, this is good. This is legit, and I think they're doing a really good job.
Yeah, and I really like all the decision points. Like we were just talking about, do I just go triple Unholy, and then I lack draw there, so I'm gonna have to rely on either like neutral draw or
and maybe it's cracked and
Limited
they gotta fix it because it's broken. But like I think they're doing a solid here.
Well, and that's that kind of like give and take on which runes like you're prioritizing, and thus you build it a different way. Like it's a really fun deck building like challenge as part of it too, which I really like.
Mm-hmm.
A big criticism among involved players at a high level was that Death Knight was too restrictive too early for Wild. Where like I want to play all the toys at once, and I can't play all the toys. And I think it's smarter in the long term because you have cards like this, and you have cards like other cards that will keep coming out where they can like print some really broken stuff for Death Knight and kind of like make it broken and then protect it with a rune so that there's no disgusting combos that can really crack it open.
It's
and
actually pretty good. Yeah.
And maybe that limits it in Wild so that it like maybe it never hits the height that it can in Standard. But at the same time, it's almost like a healthier way to balance the class. I sometimes wonder if all of the classes had a similar system when Hearthstone was first introduced.
It'd be better than
Gen and Baku.
It'd be better than banning cards. I mean,
would it help? Like, would it have made an impact and maybe changed the timeline a little bit as far as like, well, like I love having this card, but I hate having this combo, which happens a lot for us in Wild, right? Like we love certain cards. But then we say, well, we got to nerf Sork's Apprentice because of things like Ignite, or we have to do XYZ because of YZ. And it's like, well, I love Twig Sphere, but like because we have instrument check, that's a problem. Like there's things that pop up because of the long term, just like the card library gets bigger, redundancy gets higher.
And there's no going back and like redoing this from the start.
Runes are kind of going to insulate from that a little bit more than everyone else, and maybe that's going to hold it back and maybe stump the class in Wild. But at the same time, like it's a meme that when they come out with new cards, it doesn't impact Wild because like every expansion since at least Scholomance, and probably since like further back than that, maybe the Sense of Dragons, there have been cards that have cracked Wild. So like. I'm expecting we're going to keep seeing that power level ramp up. That's part of a healthy card game. Power creep is good, not a bad thing. It's just how rapidly are you power creeping? Like how far are you reaching?
I think that kind of gating a lot of those powerful effects behind, a higher rune requirement. Like, can you imagine if Climactic Necrotic Explosion, the rainbow 10 mana legendary spell, was triple unholy instead, right? Like that would be busted. But instead they put it behind a like really high barrier to entry that maybe eventually will have the tools to make it relevant, but it's not yet, right? Like, can you imagine if we had a Marrow Guard that was
blood.
just
like you play Vampiric Blood and it's ramping up your win condition.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. But I think that if all of the classes in Hearthstone had started that way, I don't think it would have been as popular to begin with because it's that added like deck building complexity. And Death Knight coming out almost 10 years into the life of Hearthstone, we've already got like almost 10 years of experience building decks and doing, adding that complexity that far down the line makes a lot more sense than, when you're trying to get purchase. So I can see why they didn't implement a system like that before, but why they are here, it also makes like lore sense. But Shmoopy, tell me about the cards that you brought this week.
So I brought 2 cards. Nice. I brought 2 cards. One I got actually. Wait, I brought 3 cards.
Mm-hmm.
One I got actually pinged on, where it's just like Dr. BOMD, my frenemy in Hearthstone, who is my captain in THL, but also the guy who denied me a title in the Born to Be Wild Listener series. But also at the same time, a dude I'm super friendly with and I'm very happy for, pinged me and said, "Hey, this looks like a Shmoopy card. And let's see which first one comes up. Oh, not this one. Okay." So,
we can look at any of them. Ancient Totem, Razor Scale, or Awakening.
Razor Scale
let's
is
start
one
with,
he's
let's start with
Alright.
Razor Scale. Let's start with
Yeah.
Razor Scale, because Razor Scale is like the funny one. Because he goes, "I think SchmoopieDaddy's going to think this card is good." And Razor Scale reads, cards can't cost less than 2. And it's a 3-mana 2/4 dragon. And this is a hell of a tech card, like especially for Wild.
and it's not less than 2.
It's not less than 2. You cannot go less than 2. That's a strict. Though I have some unclear. I have some really unclear rulings on this. Some people say that lackey-like effects, like you drop this sucker and then you play Cabal Lackey. Does your secret cost 0 or does it cost 2? That's going to be interesting to play out. My thinking is that lackey-like effects will actually override this, which makes this worse. But regardless. You drop the first one of these down. The Tony Druid is annoyed and uses one of the natural classes. You drop the second one of these down. The Tony Druid concedes. Like, this is a heavy anti-combo card. This is a slow down aggro card because Pirate Rogue doesn't want to see this. Like, it wants its Fillet Fighters to cost 1. It wants its Dread Corsairs to cost 0. Now it's saying they cost 2. 2 is 1,000,000 mana in those aggro decks. So if you can play this in decks that are good at clearing the board early, like a deck like Reno Lock that has Defile, or just like, you want to do like a big Demon Warlock and play a couple Defiles or a couple Touches, and then drop this sucker and be like, ha 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 ha, longer the game goes, I win, nerd. This could be a tech card that is like a serious handbrake on the format and slowing down aggro, because you can't get past the fact that your minions cost no less than 2.
My Embiggen costs 2.
That sucks. I really like this card, and I think that you're going to see it a lot in Chinese lists at first, and then it's slowly going to sort of creep into Western lists. I don't think that it's necessarily like cracked in half, meta defining in any way. But I'm not snorting at this card. Doc's like, "Oh, Shmoopy's gonna play it in everything." I'm not gonna play it in everything. But like my control paladin looks at this and is like, "That could be pretty good. I might want to play that."
You're not going to play this with anything with Gin in it.
And so what?
Because it's 3 mana. Yeah. I'm just saying you're not going to play it in every list.
Oh, gotcha. Okay, you're qualifying my statement. No, but I don't think this is a bad card at all. I think this is a pretty solid tech card, and you're going to see this from time to time played. It's a 3-mana 2/4. Like it's Starfish stat for a decent effect. I think. Like I think this is okay. But if we want to get to busted cards, let's do the Ancient Totem.
Oh, this card is sick.
This thing is cracked in half.
Yeah,
this card.
Yeah, this is busted.
I showed this card to Shmoopy Mommy, and I'm like, "What do you think about that?" And
It's
she was like,
common.
it's a 0 mana 0/3. Like, it doesn't do anything. And I'm like, "Oh, honey, like you play this on turn 1, and then you hero power, and now you have 2 totems." And she goes, "Oh, I like that. Imagine you have 2 of these in your hand. Now you have 3 totems. Imagine you have a totem buff in your hand. Now you have 3 buff totems on one." One of the disadvantages that even Shaman has had versus like aggro pirate builds is that aggro pirate builds are much more effective at spamming stats turn 1.
Mm-hmm.
And so as an even Shaman, unless you have Chisel, you can kind of fall behind and they can infinitely trade into you. This almost narrows that gap. I know it doesn't have any attack, but 3 health is a ton. Like, there's a good chance you can drop this on one and they can't kill it for a couple turns, which means
You could drop 2 of them on one.
You could do dumb stuff. You could play jam session on one of these suckers. You could in theory play this and then coin a jam session on it, and you have a turn 1 AoE 1 to the board, which Pirate Rogue does not like, by the way.
Anchor Totem and then like hold them for Anchor Totem. Like,
well, you can't because it's 0 mana, so Anchor Totem doesn't actually proc it.
Oh, dang, you're right.
Which is okay. We're okay with that.
Hold on, wait. Is there like a minion that or a spell that makes your minions cost 1 more next?
Sure. If they're playing the 2/2 Wraith in its Tax Paladin, now it's 1, and now
winning.
You can buff it. There you go, winning. Because Tax Paladin, a la like Raffle build from 2 years ago, is everywhere. Anyway, this but this is just like. This is free. This is discounting your things from below by 1. You could, in theory, coin out a thing from below on 2 because of this totem. Like, I see Sheep doing the math right now. Like, you have 2 of them in hand. You hear a power 1/2, and then you totem, and then you coin the thing from below, and it comes down, and it's like a poop load of stats all at once.
It's more than 2 stats.
It's more than 2 stats. And
a deuce, you might say.
Here's the thing you got to realize about Even Shaman. You don't always have to drop stats down and they have attack right away. You just need them to stick. Because eventually, there's enough redundancy built in the deck. Eventually, you're going to give it attack. Whether it's Flame Tongue Totem, whether it's Stonewright, whether it's Totemic Surge. There's ways to eventually give this thing attack. Mm-hmm. And when it can attack, it's going to be vicious. And this is going to be a big pusher for this is going to speed up the Even Shaman deck, which it didn't need speeding up. It's already a tier 1, tier 2 deck, depending on the sources that you visit.
But these go up to 11.
Yeah, it helps crank it up. This and the new Titan, and you change your build a little bit. I won't get into those specifics right now. But this card in particular makes Even Shaman a lot faster. And I can't decide whether or not that's a good thing or a bad thing for the format. I think it might be a bad thing because of how consistent Even Shaman already is. It didn't need an early game high roll. Now it has that. So, like, this could be the S tier aggro deck. Like, this could be like, why are you still playing Pirate Rogue, you idiot? Play Even Shaman instead. And this is going to be a big part of that. A 0 mana 0/3 totem. As goofy as that sounds. That's common. That's a gun.
Yeah, but the buffs are also 0 mana. That's the crazy thing, right? So
yeah, well, not with the dragon out. Keep up, Hydra. All right. Anyway, and then I had one other. I
didn't even hear what he said. Keep up, Hydra bounce.
Oh, I was saying, not with the 3 mana dragon.
Oh,
not with the 3 mana dragon, right? So you got to keep up. I'm kidding.
Everything
right.
costs
no.
But
Hydra's exactly right. Like you could drop 2 of these. You could drop you could drop 2 of these hero power. Like if you're on coin, hero power, drop health buff or attack buff is busted, right? Like either one. Yeah. Like you're making like 10 health worth of stats on turn 1.
Yeah, because it's an even cost, like it's just busted. This is gnarly.
Why is it 3 health? I don't get why it's 3 health.
It's gonna get nerfed. It's gonna get nerfed. It has to. Like, it's too good.
I don't know if it gets nerfed. I don't know if it's egregious enough.
I think so.
Hydra, I was kidding. I was making a joke about the dragon.
You know what? All they have to do to kill it is make it cost 1, and it'll be dead. But
the other card.
Anyways, sorry, no. The card is gnarly. I think it's incredible. I love it.
I really dig the art too.
Yeah, it's good. But I actually think the card is cracked. Yeah. Okay. Awakening.
The last card I was seeing some chatter for is this Hunter card that was revealed today at time of recording. 1 mana, get 3 1/4 worms in your hand. Sorry, not 1/4, 4 ones. Excuse me. That's very important.
Very different.
They cost 1. And so this is neat with Buzzard. It's kind of like schooling. It's kind of like first day of school. But like, imagine first day of school always got you Fillet Fighter.
Are they beasts?
They are beasts. They do not have rush. They're just vanilla 1 mana 4/1 minions.
Bro, right? Like with it, like in that Beast Hunter with the Rhino, like.
Well, yes, that's the issue, right? Like with Rhino, with Shadehound, like these are cheap, like very
Super
offensively
aggressively statted. Yeah.
like brutal cards. But they're cheap enough that like you're okay with dropping them next to Buzzard and drawing cards, and like that's this is creating a lot of chatter of just like, okay, we try to run this in Beast Hunter, right? Yeah, we try to run this in Beast Hunter. Beast Mech Warper when, hopefully never, because that would be terrible. However, like this is another card that's kind of pushing a deck that's been good for a long time in Wild that is super underplayed, and you might see a pickup in play. Like there are some people who swear by Pelican Diver because of the aggressive statage. Pelican Diver has rush. There's a big difference there, but mostly because Pelican Diver plus Rhino is such a brutal combo. If you discount a Rhino and you can drop all 4 of these, you're talking about like a cheap. You're talking about like what 14 damage for 6 mana. Like that's not a lot to sniff at. So this is another card that I think, again, not a lot of complexity behind this. Like play this card, throw a couple of these out. Bonk Druid's like, I guess I got to face tank these. They hit the opponent in the face for a bunch of damage. They're annoying to get rid of. It's only 1 health, but like still, you have to take them out individually.
That's less than 2.
Buzzard, it's more than 2. So those are my cards.
Yeah. Can we talk
1
about?
health is more than 2? Very confused.
Nate?
Can we talk about Ignis a little bit? I want to know how this works with the forged weapon. The custom weapon? Is it like Kazakus kind of? Like how does? Or,
Yes.
Yeah.
Can you explain it to me? Because I've been living in Workland.
Sheep can.
Yeah. So Emic on Hearthstone has a great guide for this that I'm pulling up while talking and doing a poor job of multitasking.
That's multi-sheeping.
That is correct.
More than 2.
Okay. So first off, you get to choose between the mana, the base weapon. So you've got your runic short sword. That's a 1 mana 2/2. Your runic axe. That's a 5 mana 3/4. And your runic great mace. That's your 10 mana 5/6. That's right, 5/6 weapon.
Where can I see this?
It's a lot of damage.
Yeah, I will drop the link in our chat here. So, step 1, craft a weapon. So you've got your base weapon. Then you add a trait. So I don't know if you're seeing all 5 of these or you're only seeing 3. So the traits are Deceit of Loken, so poisonous. I'm not going to read all of the actual titles, just what they actually do. So poisonous, lifesteal, wind fury, also damages adjacent minions, and your hero is immune while attacking. One of those was wind fury. That's pretty good. These do not add any like mana cost to the weapon whatsoever. So if you went with the 1 mana 2/2 and you got poisonous, you're pretty happy. If you got that and then like wind fury, you're kind of like, oh no. But maybe situationally you're playing against an even shaman. You can get Flame of Odin, which is the cleave effect. That could be pretty great. Finally, you are adding a special ability. So there are like 3, 6, 9, 12, 15 of these.
Jeez.
So definitely not going to read all of those, but they're all like really powerful things like battle cries, things that happen after your hero attacks, like drawing cards. Okay, so it looks like these scale up. So instead of there being 15, they're really 5, but they scale up with the size weapon you chose. So for example, Genius of Memoron, the lowest one, after your hero attacks, summon a random 2 cost minion. The middle one is 4 cost. the most expensive one, or the 10 mana weapon, gives you an 8 cost minion. So Battle Cry deals some damage, 2, 4, 6. After your hero attacks, draw a card or 2 cards or 3 cards. Death Rattle, deal 1 damage to all enemies. Always Death Rattle 1, 2, and 4. And then finally, Light of Tear. After your hero attacks, gain 2 armor. 2 is the smallest weapon, 4 armor is the medium weapon, and 8 armor is the final weapon. So you've got a lot of pretty cool things there. If you get like the Battle Cry deals 6 damage and you chose Lifesteal, you're really happy. Or like Death
Poison's
Rattle
AoE is really attractive.
Exactly.
Especially for the 1 mana weapon, right? Like you don't need it to deal a lot of damage. The fact that that's nasty.
I think this is super cool. The fact that it's neutral, and like if you're free to play and they give this to you on the reward tracker, you crack this. Like it's so fun to play with, right?
Yeah.
Like I think it's one of those cards that's super neat. Like if I was living down in like bronze, silver, gold land, like I would love playing this every time.
I like that it's
cool.
it's a 4 cost. So I like these cards that cost 8, 7, 8, 9. Like you're never gonna play them, but this is like reasonable-ish in the right build. Like I'm not saying it's good, but it looks
like
very fun.
Brand
It's
stats,
slow,
right?
but it's fun.
Yeah. Well, and
gotta
like Kazakus, it does have a contingency, right? Like Kazakus, it's also 4 mana, just like all the previous Kazakai. But this condition is you have to have forged a card this game. So any of those cards that the forged thing, you hover it over your deck, you pay 2 mana, it upgrades to whatever the next thing is. Most of them have been pretty good. So I don't think that that's like a really huge ask, except you're going to have to run forged cards in your deck in order to activate Ignis as well. So it's just a relevant contingency.
Did any of you play Final Fantasy 15?
No, I didn't.
Oh, it's one of the characters' names in there. And there's jokes, but if nobody played it, then all right, never mind.
Yeah. Sorry. Oops,
oh well.
Sorry.
I have one last.
Yeah.
I was gonna say I have one last thing to say about this. As far as forged as a mechanic, like the way that I'm seeing it play out, where it's got value, is imagine you have these low value cards that have forge attached to it, and you're late in the game and you're floating mana anyway. And so you forge something, and now it's a better version of the card that you were probably okay with playing for at the mana it's at anyway.
Mm-hmm.
The problem with this card is if you want to play this card on curve when it's going to have the most impact, you're going to need to forge either turn 2, coin turn 1, or turn 3. Can you really afford to do that and not die in Wild? And I think the jury is out as to what decks are able to do that. Can you convince me there's some sort of control warrior or control deck that has tools where like, yeah, I can take turn 2 off and play this card. Okay, sure, fine, great.
Even warrior.
Are you playing? Yeah, maybe. Like we haven't seen warrior cards. Maybe there's a busted forge card where it's just like, I don't know, forge this for 2 mana. On turn 3, I can play it for 2 mana and deals 5 to the board. Like, okay, yeah, great. Like, yes, then I could afford to do this.
And I think
right
that's
now it looks omega slow.
And I think what forged cards are in all the different classes is the really big unknown variable right now, right? Like if there's a forged card that costs 0, but you forge it and it does, the like 1 AoE versus 3 AoE, right? And it costs 0, right? Like, okay, cool. Like you can do that, then you can forge that on 2 and not worry about dying.
It has an impact. You don't worry about dying. You play this card 100%.
Right. So that would enable you to buy time to be able to play Ignis, etc. I also really like how 2 of the weapon breakpoints are 1 and 5, because like if you need that early swing, that early thing to happen, you can go with 1. If you are playing this again, this is assuming you're on curve, right? Playing this on curve, you can play the 5-drop weapon the very next turn. Like it fits that curve really nicely. And then of course, if you're going for the big flashy thing, like you're gonna have to wait until 10 mana. It's probably not the right call most of the time, but it's mostly the fun call. So like
it's
that
kind
bait
of
is
a win
there.
condition, right? Like a 5/6 weapon that possibly has Wind Fury and deal damage. Like you can make this into like a DIY like Pyroblast
Yeah.
pretty quickly. Which I'm not going to completely poo-poo this card because the ceiling for the power level is actually there. Like that's a decent win con in Wild if you can get to that much mana. But like what deck is forging and also getting to that much mana is the big thing. Like I could see this like be working its way into a Reno Priest list where like you have your removal in there and then like this is in there for value and like maybe there's good forged priest cards. You're playing one of them and oh hey look your dumb alternate win condition is a giant Ignis weapon. So like I can't poo-poo it, but at the same time this feels slow. Yeah, maybe I can poo-poo it. We're working on potty training. All right, like there's a lot of poo-poo right now.
That is absolutely fantastic. Any other cards we want to talk about?
I was looking for the clip. There's like a clip where it says like Ignis all business or something like that. Oh, I can't find it. Sad.
Well, I got a question I want to ask, and I want to ask Nate Wolf.
Oh, all right.
And now, unrelated advice.
I have to like dust off the cobwebs here.
All right, so Mr. Wolf, you I know you live in California, and the biggest thing you got to worry about is maybe some coconuts falling on your car.
We got earthquakes out here.
but you
hence the coconuts falling on your car.
Yeah.
Ignore the big one. We push it down deep, way down deep.
But when you lived in the Pacific Northwest, there was pine cones and sap that fell on your car.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So when you got that ooey gooey sap that landed on your car, in the middle of the summer, and it's like say like 80, 90 degrees out, and it fell and it drizzled and it landed on your hood like glue, right? Then overnight, it gets a little cooler, and then it solidifies, and suddenly you just got this like yellowy white clump that is basically like epoxy.
Yeah,
like on the hood of your vehicle. What did you do?
You gotta buy a new car. Okay. So here's the deal, right? If it gets on your windshield, you're happy because you can get like a razor blade, and you can scrape it with the razor blade. But if it gets on your like the hood of your car or something, and you try it, you're gonna like scratch the paint off. It's so funny, right? Because you drive around the Pacific Northwest, and you'll like looking for a parking spot, and there's like no parking spots except this like really nice spot in the shade, and you're like, oh wow, why is no one parking here? And then you look down and you see all the pine, like all the pine needles and stuff. You're like, like car gonna be covered in sap if I park here. And
I know it's a trick.
It's that stuff is nasty. Yeah. The only thing that I can't really speak for experience, because like I would always try to avoid that. If it happened to me and it got on like the hood, I don't know, like maybe you would try to heat it up or something and maybe scrape it off. I don't know, man. I think you might just have to.
So like the key word to avoid is scrape.
Oh,
from what I can tell.
But
yes.
If it's on the glass, it's not as bad, but the actual like the paint, ooh.
Mm-hmm.
Hot water would be. Is this a hot water situation?
For me so far, it's been a hot water situation. This came up actually because
Google says if you use rubbing alcohol, it'll remove sap from the car.
All right, so I did this today, right? All right, okay. So what happened was we actually are renting the parking lot next to my work because we have too many employees. I guess that's why they're firing us. So we got too many employees, and we're parking next door, right? And I got all the sap on my hood because I live in an area with all these coniferous trees that drip sap.
Carnivorous trees. Oh my.
Coniferous.
That's not quite as scary.
Not like the keys.
Let's take a little finger.
Anyway, so like at the end of the day, I always rush home on Fridays to like get to the show, right? And I get out there, and some of this sap has started to melt and liquefy again, right? Turning into
so sad.
Well, no, it was good. It was turning from like a solid into a liquid.
Okay,
yeah. And I'm like, hell yeah, that was the time to push the button. Like I'm stoked. It turned back into liquid, and so I'm out there, and I wanted to use like a rag or whatever to try to wipe it off. So I grabbed this crappy napkin from Wendy's, and I tried to like get the sap off, but what happened?
Now you just have napkin on your car.
Yeah, so like the napkin has like worked its way in.
We call that detailing.
But I have this bottle of isopropyl alcohol, right? And so it's mixed with like glycol and stuff to make hand sanitizer, whatever. It's from like the WHO website. I use that, and so it's rubbing alcohol basically, and I poured it over it, and it was magic. Like it, like in the heat anyway, like it got rid of everything, and I was super stoked. I don't know if like that would work if it was still like in its hardened form or not, but so in my understanding, you have to wait for a 90-degree day and then perform this procedure.
90 degrees Celsius?
Yeah, dude. Yeah, just kidding. So a 30-degree day Celsius. And perform the thing. But yes, I'm glad that the internet confirmed what worked, because I just tried that. Sort of for fun. But have you tried anything else? Because I know you lived here.
No, I would just always avoid parking under the trees, because it was like, all right, I could get either like sap on the car or I could get a free car wash. I'll take the car wash because it just rained all the time. So yeah, there you have it.
So buy a new car.
That's
Wise
right.
Words have never been spoken.
Yep, that's right. And you heard
And
that.
you heard that
on.
More to be wild.